And this video has got it all. It does have it all. It's got history. We're going to do history in this video. It's got geeky stuff. It's got techno babble geeky stuff in it. It's going to be cool. And for those of you that just love watching hot metal pour out of a crucible, I've got awesome footage of hot metal pouring out of a crucible. What more could you ask for? It's great. It's going to be awesome. Okay, so I'm going to do some stuff a little bit different in this video. I've actually got a bunch of little tidbits about the actual driving of the Golden Spike that I'm just going to kind of slice into the video and just to break it up a little bit, and maybe we'll have a little fun just so you guys can get some history while you're at it. I'm actually going to cut out a lot of stuff in this video. I started looking at it last night. I actually was going to edit it out today, and I decided that there's a lot of stuff in here you've seen over and over and over again. You know, packing sand in a mold, and we're going to focus on a couple of things at the end of the video and keep it short as a result. I hope keep it short. Mainly, this is kind of what I'm going to talk about. This is all the stuff that happened. There it is. This is all the stuff that happened to make that. So let's get started here. I want to talk about this first. Okay, those of you that have had any kind of history, especially American history, European history, and world history, anywhere besides here, you probably don't know anything about this thing. But back on May 10th of 1869, there was a golden spike driven into a railroad. Union Pacific, Central Pacific Railroads coming from Union Pacific coming from Sacramento in the west in California, Central Pacific coming from Omaha, heading west. So we had, does that make sense? Yeah, Union Pacific going east, Central Pacific going west. They met at a place called Promontory, Utah. Now that's north of Salt Lake City. That's out in the middle of nowhere. There was nothing there. There was a railroad town there for the time that it took them to build the railroad. Once that was over, the town basically got dismantled and moved away. There's nothing out there. It's just, well, there's a national park there. Now you can go look at the spot. But nothing there. I mean, there's nothing there, right? But it is where the two lines met. There was a contractor and financier, a guy named David Hughes, who had the bright idea of, hey, let's make this a big ceremony when we drive the last spikes in, and we'll use golden spike, gold from California, the gold rush, California. There was other spikes involved too. There was a silver spike. There was another cheaper, lower grade golden spike, and there was a spike that was silver and iron and gold. I don't know what it looked like. It was mixed. Anyway, and then there was the golden spike, and the golden spike was supposed to be the last one that was driven in. A guy named Leland Stanford. You might recognize that name, Stanford University. Leland Stanford was a governor of California for a couple years, then he became a U.S. Senator, and he was given the honor of driving that last spike in. Well, I go to all the trouble of making those small little flasks last week, and they're too small for what I want to do. So this is my spike, and I'm going to show you something real quick here. I don't know if you can, maybe you can see it better that way. You can see it better that way. See how it's got this little lip right back here on the back? I don't know what I want to do with. It probably doesn't matter at all, but I'm going to go ahead and set this thing on this little block of wood here. So when I ram it up, this is setting flat in the flask. Again, it may not really matter. I don't know, but that's what we're going to do. And we're also going to use my newly repurposed, refurbished, rejuvenated Petrobond. And we're going to see if this actually will do the trick or if it will be completely wasted. So, and I can tell you that, I can tell you I can smell the alcohol in here. So I mixed this up with this non-detergent motor oil, and that's what they say to do. And it actually started feeling pretty good. I mean, as far as just clumping together. But one thing that you're supposed to do, apparently, is mix in isopropyl alcohol to as a catalyst. Now, I don't understand what that means as a catalyst for, I'm not sure what it's catalyzing. But you're supposed to do it. So I can sure smell it. I just mixed it in. And I didn't measure any of this stuff, right? I started mixing up the sand with the oil until it started clumping like I needed it to. And then I threw in, I don't know, I just went, poured some alcohol in there. We'll see. So I got this nice here. I got this nice finished, you dummy. I made all this nice finished sand so I could get around my rusty old spike. Oh well. So here's kind of a cool thing. Everybody thinks, I mean, we all think that this linkage was supposed to link East Coast with West Coast. Well, here's the reality. It didn't do either of those. It didn't link either coast. Because Sacramento is inland, it's not on the coast of California. They had to actually build another line from Sacramento out to San Francisco area to get to the coast. And you couldn't ride a train from the East Coast to the West Coast because you would get to Council Bluff, Iowa, and you'd have to get off the train, you'd have to take a boat across the Missouri River, get back on the train in Omaha, and then you could go across. So you couldn't actually ride a train all the way across the country when this happened. Okay, we got, I'm officially mixed. Let's turn this thing over and see how she looks. Hopefully everything will stay in there. I really hope it stays. I really hope it stays in there. Hey. It stayed in there. Here's a fun little fact. The original spike was a copper gold alloy. It was 73% copper, what does that make it? 27% gold. So not too far unlike this cool guy, because this is a copper aluminum alloy. Okay, I got it. I've got it pretty cleaned out. I realized after I did this, I didn't put any parting compound on the back side of that guy. So I'm hoping that will actually come out of there. So I'm going to use some talc right now. And one of the things I'm noticing too about this oil that I've done, the sand that I've made, it's a lot stickier than the Petrobond, and it's kind of loads up in the bottom of my brush and it doesn't brush off quite as easily as the Petrobond did. Oh, well, I'm not gonna lie to you. I screwed up. I forgot to put my sprue and my feeder and all that stuff in here. So we're gonna do something a little bit different than what I have done in the past. In fact, I'm not sure how I'm going to do this with this low section now. We might have to run. Well, we'll cut those in later. Anyway, what we're gonna end up doing here is I'm going to cut. I'm not sure where I'm going to put my sprue. I'm going to put my sprue like out over here, and have a runner come across this direction and join across this way. Have my feeder in here, and we'll cut across it. And one of the things that I'm learning too is that your runners need to be kind of below your gates. So we're going to try to cut this sort of thing, and we'll cut the runner into what is the drag, and we'll cut the gates into the cope. So let me find something that I can use as a feeder that's going to be big enough, because I don't think my little 3/4 inch pipe is going to be enough for this thing. That'll be a big feeder. That's okay. That's okay. I got a lot of material in here and I don't want it to end up hollow. So, and we're going to put our sprue somewhere over in this area here when I ram it up. So that'll be what happens next. So there was actually 2 gold spikes made. There was one that got driven into the ground, and then there was a second one, I guess, just in case. And what happened is Stanford kind of possessed the first spike. He donated that to the museum, which was going to be Stanford Museum at the university. It's now got a different name, but that spike went on display and has been on display since. Hughes, the guy who financed everything and had the bright idea, he had the second spike, although no one really knew what happened to it. And in 2005, the family finally came out and said, yeah, we've got the other spike. And now it's on display at a museum. I think it's in Oakland, a train museum there. Okay, sprue. Oh, that popped right out of there. Nice when it's tapered. It just comes right out. I don't know what's going to happen with this feeder. We'll see here. All right, it came out of there, and all the sand that was inside it went right down inside. For the sprue, I need to dig a pour basin sort of off to the side here. And it will be lower than the top of my sprue. Okay. So we're just going to dig down in here. Go ahead and build that up a little bit. So now I've got a basin that we're going to pour into, and we need to have, I'm going to bring it over a little bit further, for the sprue itself. I'm going to cut a little, I don't know what you call it, trough. That is higher, it's higher than my basin. So pour the metal in here. It's going to fill in here, rise up, run across through this trough, down the sprue and across. We're going to go under the feeder, and the gating system is going to come back into our part. So that's kind of what we got here. I don't know if it'll work, but we're going to try. Please be good. Okay, so I said we're going to go from the sprue across the feeder, and we're going to. So that means I'm going to take this thing, and I'm going to come right across here. And I was also told the proper way to do this is not to build or cut a basin below your sprue, but just have it come right angle basically from the sprue over across to the feeder. Well, in my case, right angle. It could be, I guess it's right angle, right? Sprue, boom, runner. So that's kind of what we're doing here. I'm going to do a reasonably good size runner just because, again, it's a fairly sizable, I think it's a fairly sizable part, and I want it to be able to get molten metal while it's molten. All right, sprue, boom, runner. And you'll notice I ran it Purposely, I ran it past the feeder just because I wanted to make sure. Well, I'm told that's what you're supposed to do. And I think it has to do with just one more opportunity to clean the metal from any kind of loose sand that might have come down. That sand can get pushed past the feeder and stay over here and not end up in our part. All right, let me change this. There's our part, or the top, the cope. Now, remember, this is my runner's going to. So my runner's going to come from here down. That's what this is. I'm going to cut in here now. The gate to get from the feeder to the part. And I'm cutting a fairly wide gate here because it's not very deep. So I want it to be wide enough that I can feed metal in without having to worry about it, again, freezing. I don't want it to freeze. That's the big thing here. While I got that feeder tube full of molten metal, it doesn't do me any good at all if I can't get past this choke point right here. So I knew it. Don't. Man, this is just exactly like drywall. Don't keep screwing with it. If you're good enough, you're good enough. Don't keep screwing with your mold. You're just gonna make it worse. Here's what this is me. This is what I would be remembered for. So the spikes weren't actually driven into the tie. The tie was actually a ceremonial tie. It was made out of laurel, I think is what the wood was, and it was polished and it was real pretty. And they actually drilled holes. So the idea of driving the spike in was really more of a tapping it in because the holes were already drilled and they didn't have to do a lot. And that was probably because they didn't want to destroy them. They're made of gold and whatever. But the story is, and this would be me, the story is that both Stanford and Hughes both tried to drive a spike using a traditional hammer blow. And they both missed. They both missed the spike. That would be me. That would be how I would go down in history, is missing the spike. Oh, boy. Okay, let me see. Oh, yeah, you could hear me. Maybe. My poor lid is falling apart on me. I'm going to have to make a new lid. So let's see if we can't scoop. Not a lot of dross. That's a good thing because stuff is expensive. I'm going to call that good, dross-wise. And we're just going to give this a quick little, I'm stirring it. Stuff's coming up to the top. Don't know what that is. Iron? Really dry dross. Whatever it is. Wow. Okay. See if we can't get this poured. Coming up with the feeder. Alrighty. Still nice and warm. I went ahead and spooned out a bunch of the sand just because I wanted to try to salvage as much as I could. But let's see what we got here. Hopefully it's still hot. Well, you know, if I were making parting lines, if I was in the business of making parting lines, this would be a great casting because there's a huge parting line. But it doesn't look too shabby. The surface over here looks pretty darn good, considering I didn't clean the spike up at all. Let me clean this up a little bit, just brush it off and cool it off with some water so I can hold it. And we're going to talk about what we got with all this pour stuff. Okay, this is, I think this is really cool. And I'm sorry, but for those of you that thought I was pouring this to get the spike, I was pouring it to actually get this stuff. I wanted to see how this would work. So here's what we got. We did. Here's my sprue, tapered sprue. It's fairly small. We had a pouring basin we poured into. It came up over a lip and then down into the sprue. So you can see the lip is right here. Pours into the sprue. That came across a runner that came into the bottom of this this feeder. I'm learning feeder, riser. It's really a feeder, not a riser. Anyway, that came across. You can see. Let me do it this way. Yeah, you can see that came across here at the bottom, and then I had it cut in at a higher level up into. So this came across the drag. And this is cut into the sprue. This gate that goes into the part. This feeder was huge. Probably like. Yeah, it was probably a lot bigger than it needed to be, but oh well. A lot of shrinkage happened here. If I stick this nail, that nail goes quite a ways down in there, so it, I assume that there's just shrinkage more than filling this, but I don't know, I could be wrong. Maybe it got sucked into the part. All right, so hopefully you had some fun. Hope you learned something along the way. You got to see cool metal. Hey, this is all about learning. That's one of the reasons why you're seeing me do stuff like I did today. It's just about learning the process and understanding the techniques that are involved and doing it. I don't want to say doing it right because I know I'm not doing it right, but doing it closer to right than not closer to right. To that end, I want to recognize the guy Martin over at Old Foundry Man. I'm going to link his channel right up here. Martin has been a great help. He's a great resource. He's got some terrific videos. You ought to go check him out. He's doing some pretty cool stuff. I'm going to link another one of my casting videos down here. I don't know what it'll be, but it'll be fun. You should go watch it. And finally, I want to link the subscribe button here. If you haven't subscribed, you need to go do that. You guys have a great day.